What's up guys, James here from BootWizard Boot Reviews, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Umbro UX Accuro 3. Now this is the brand new release from Umbro in their control boot line featuring D3O technology. So this is something that isn't on any other boot on the market right now, and it's a really interesting and innovative way of trying to get a better touch on the ball in a control boot. So let's jump into it. Remember to like the video, remember to get subscribed, and let's find out why I've been keeping my UX Accuros in the fridge, because it wasn't just for a funny intro. So we're going to start with the upper because this really is where the interesting things about the UX Accuro are. So outside of the D30 that has been added to this upper, this is a fairly straightforward mesh upper. It is Umbro's Memory Flex mesh and it runs the entire length of the boot. The D30 is this pass pad on the instep here, very reminiscent of the Predator LZ, and then this cage which is along the front here, but they sit on top of the mesh upper, which is quite thin, very thin actually for a mesh upper, and just has a very thin protective layer that you wouldn't even notice. So had that mesh upper just been left as it was, this would probably have a feeling very akin to that of a speed boot, very thin, very barefoot. However, what Umbro have done is they've added the D30 foam that I showed you earlier in the pass pad and the front cage. So D30 does get referred to as D30 foam a lot. It's not true. D30 is not a foam. It's a goo, basically. It's a bright orange goo, which is why the original limited edition release color of this was bright orange, to match in with that D30 product branding. And where D30 is used is in a lot of protective equipment, both in sports and also for the military. But how on earth is that going to translate to better touch on the ball in a football boot? Because that's exactly what Umbro are claiming here. So D30 is not just one product that can be used in one way. It can be used in a multitude of ways and in a multitude of forms. And what this is designed to do is very similar to what those protective elements do, but it's for a football boot, and it is absorb and dissipate energy. So if you imagine a ball coming at you at speed and you taking that touch, taking that energy of the ball onto the pass pad on the inside there, that is supposed to dampen the sensation of that ball hitting it. So you're less likely to have the ball fly off in a direction. Is this going to change the face of football? No, but Umbro have made a brand new product that's completely original, using a technology that's never been used before in order to provide you with a genuine attempt at a control boot. This really does do what they want it to do, which is attempt to improve your control and your touch on the ball. The D30 itself is also so effective that it has been able to be put on the Umbro UX in a very low profile manner. So this isn't extra bulky, which you might have previously found on some control boots. And finally, just to answer the question that I know you're all thinking, James, why were your boots in the fridge? And it's because I do have one concern about the D30, and quite simply that is because it seems to me that the D30 does change or does react differently under a variety of temperatures. Now, this doesn't apply to rainfall. It actually does a really good job of not absorbing water. But it just seems to me that when I use these in extreme cold conditions, the D30 does get harder. Now, this applies to any boot. You've ever put on a pair of football boots and gone out and played in the cold, the upper obviously gets stiffer, which is why I had multiple pairs of boots in the fridge to test this theory. But the D30 itself seems to get stiffer than the rest of the upper, and it does alter your feeling on the ball just a little bit. And I have to assume that the same could apply if you had this under extreme heat, if you were playing in a very, very hot climate. Is this something that I think is going to be a deal breaker and something that should stop you buying this boot? Absolutely not. But it is something that I noticed that I've not noticed any other review say so I thought it was definitely worth bringing up. On the whole though, this upper, for innovation, for the genuine touch on the ball, and for the fact that it does what it says it's going to do, very, very impressive. So Umbro are a company like Lotto that seem to do a really good job of making their boots very light. This boot is absolutely no exception, coming in my size, which is a UK 8, at 200 grams. This is a control boot that makes itself lighter than pretty much every control boot on the market, and also puts itself in the same category as most of the speed boots on the market. So if you're looking for something in the lightweight control boot range, this is well worth considering. It's a very impressive weight and you do feel that on feet. From the very impressive to the slightly less impressive, we have the outsole on the UX Accuro, which is exactly the same as you would have found on the previous generation. The stud pattern keeps it very simple, with your 6 studs through the forefoot and your 4 in the heel, 1 support stud here, and then a little toe pick stud here which does less than nothing. And then the stud shape itself is all conical studs. This is a very traditional feel in the ground from these conical studs. The sole plate I actually have no complaints about really. It's pretty standard, it's not spectacular, but nothing wrong with it. It has a good stiffness and rigidity through the midfoot, a good amount of flex in the forefoot, and a good amount of bend in all directions really, and it does work quite well with the upper. The boot is lightweight, the upper is thin, but the control boot element and that D30 really does make this outsole suit the boot a little more than it would have done. Something definitely worth mentioning, and you can take this as a positive or a negative depending on the ground that you play on, is that the studs are very short on this sole plate. And now this sole plate has previously been advertised on the previous generation as a HG stud pattern, so for hard ground. So it has very short studs, especially through the forefoot area. For this particular model, it's advertised as FG. Now, that works. That's fine. The problem being that if your FG is a little more on the SG side, you're going to struggle for traction, especially in this area. So if you do play on a harder pitch, or even on an AG surface, this could be a boot that is worth considering. Looks wise, especially in this black and silver colorway, I'm a big fan of this. I think it looks very clean, it looks very classic, and there's absolutely nothing to complain about, apart from maybe this kind of S-curve style heel that's here that makes the heel look very shallow, and this just seems completely unnecessary. And you will note that the boots are pretty slim in profile. So I do have a full unboxing of these boots up on the channel, so if you want to see that, click the link up here and that'll take you straight through just so you can have a look at more of the design details. Remember to be subscribed to get that kind of stuff. Let's talk value for money. These come in at €170, which is definitely cheaper than anything Nike, Adidas and Puma are putting out. And I would say that Umbro really do fall into a category where they're trying to compete to be the best of the rest, along with companies like Lotto and like New Balance. And they have positioned themselves right between those two companies. New Balance charge the same as a Puma boot would, they're right up in the premium price range. Lotto tend to undercut, and they tend to be a little bit cheaper unless you're buying the laceless boot. Umbro then come in at a really nice mid-range between the two, and I don't think that it's overpriced, especially considering the general prices of boots in the market. Right now on unisportstore.com, these are €90 in the black and about €100 in the white and plum colorway. A really good value proposition for what is a very good boot. Can I recommend them? At €100 on sale, these are well worth your consideration. So taking a look at the inside of the boot, you do get a very nice, very soft synthetic suede material in the back of the boot, and then that runs down into just the mesh material in the front. nothing to complain about, and it does help out with the heel lockdown with that good liner. The insole is a little bit on the strange side for me. It's good and it's actually very soft. The upper material is a little bit slick. It doesn't really offer any grip properties, but on the whole, not bad. Apart from this inner lip here really comes up very high on the inside of the boot. It literally reaches to about here. So to confirm that with the insole in, it comes up to here on the instep. So it's right up here at this back point, and then it kind of comes down. So it's right up here at this point here, which just doesn't seem to make sense to me. I don't want a padded material from my insole where I'm making contact with the ball. So firstly, I just want to commend Umbro for actually making a boot with a burrito style tongue that's actually very good. Tongues that tend to attach by a little piece of elastic down this side, like the Copa 19.1, tend to be difficult to get on, and then that wrap just goes too far and ends up being an intrusion on this side of the boot. But to be honest, this is really good. The boot's really easy to get on, and it doesn't get in my way at all. The feeling on feet is very lightweight. The wrap is very close to your foot, and that is because the boot does have a very narrow silhouette. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but if you do have a wider foot, you should definitely be aware. Even with the tongue system and it's not being a one-piece upper, you might find that this boot is too narrow for you. This is not the most responsive boot on the market, but it certainly does a job. I'm not complaining about it too much. And the same goes for the lockdown. The narrow silhouette helps me out. I don't have particularly wide feet, and it does give me good lockdown with the lacing system, the burrito style tongue. Heel lockdown is actually surprisingly good considering how shallow the heel counter feels like it is, but I would have liked it to come up a little bit higher just for almost a placebo effect of security, but I've not actually felt like I'm going to come and slip out of these at any point. Okay, sizing. This is super important because not only are they a slim fit, they are also a very long boot. These boots are in my size UK 8 and they are at least half a size too long. I need to go down at least 0.5 size, maybe a whole size to get these to fit me correctly. Interestingly, this only seems to be an issue in this black and silver colorway and also in the white and purple colorway. I have a friend who runs the webpage Boot Hype, and he has the white and purple, the white and plum colorway, and he has exactly the same problem. However, I have a friend over in New Zealand, YJ Football, who have a YouTube channel, and they have exactly the opposite problem where the boot is too thin for them, but that limited edition initial release orange colorway seems to fit better in size, and that is a report I've had from several people. So if you're gonna pick these up in black or the white and plum, you want to go down at least half a size. If you've somehow found the limited edition orange, maybe try true to size. I don't know why Umbro have done this. So to conclude, I think this is easily the best boot that Umbro has put out in a very long time. It's a boot that I would happily go out and play in, and it's definitely worth considering if you can get it on sale at around that €100 price point. Do remember about the sizing and the slim silhouette, but this is a good boot that I would be very happy to wear. Remember to drop down in the comments what you think of the UX Accuro 3, and if it's something that you already own, what do you think? Remember to subscribe to the channel. You can do that by clicking here, and check out any of my other videos by clicking over here. Remember to like the video, but that's all from me here today. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.